Ta revoluce má bezpočet různých dimenzí, aspektů, rovin.
This revolution has many dimensions, many aspects, many facets, and it also has its theatrical dimension. I've discovered that many key points of this revolution, and even of my presidency, by some mysterious coincidence, are taking place either in a theater or are somehow linked to theater.
Hello, I'm Paul Newman. In the past few months, extraordinary changes have taken place throughout Eastern Europe. In Czechoslovakia, the winds of change began to blow in late November as student demonstrators here were beaten by police. Within days, an opposition movement named Civic Forum was born. That movement was led by a dissident playwright whose work had been long recognized throughout the free world while being totally suppressed in his own country. His name is Václav Havel. We at the Actors Studio found ourselves in an enviable position. Our production of Havel's play, Audience, was brought from New York to Prague and presented on the same stage as a Czech production that had been mounted almost overnight. And for the first time ever, a play written by the country's foremost playwright, President Havel, was performed in public in his own land. This is the story of that play, that playwright, and that president.
Ale řekne to tady pijeme pivo všichni, to už je tady taková old tradice.
Já vím.
A nebuďte smutný.
Já nejsem smutný.
See, everybody drinks beer here. It's kind of like a tradition or something here in the brewery.
I know.
And don't let it get you down.
I'm not down.
Ale buď smutný!
Já nejsem smutný. Ne.
Don't let it get you down.
I'm not down.
Ale buďte smutný.
Ne, já nejsem smutný.
And don't let it get you down.
I'm not down. Ne, nebuďte smutný.
Václav Havel bol zvolený za prezidenta Československej socialistickej republiky.
Slibuji na svou čest a svědomí věrnost Československé socialistické republice. Budu dbát blaha národů a národností v ní žijících, své povinnosti budu konat podle vůle lidu a v zájmu lidu a zachovávat ústavu a ostatní zákony.
We were together at the same high boarding school. I was 15, Havel was 11. And, well, he was the most shy, inconspicuous kid who was always, he never wanted to be in the limelight. But it was always his ambition to write plays.
What the hell are these plays about?
Mostly about office people.
No, o čem byly ty vaše hry?
O úřednicích. Hlavně teda.
But always something just went wrong because, first of all, as a bourgeois child from a bourgeois family. He was not allowed to go, communists wouldn't allow him to go study at the university. So what he was doing for a while was he was a technician in a chemist laboratory. Then came a short period in the 60s when finally, the relaxation, liberalization through the Khrushchev era, and he started to write plays.
Co to neslo, Jiří?
A tak to bylo různé.
Takže to má taky své mouchy.
Then, of course, came the tanks sent by Mr. Brezhnev, Comrade Brezhnev, and Václav Havel again couldn't write plays because he had to drive a cab. He became a cab driver. But even that was not enough for the communists because as a cab driver, well, you can have 20, 30, 40 passengers a day in your car, and he can talk to 20, 30, 40 different people. Communists didn't like it. So they kicked him even out of the job as a cab driver, and he had to go, and he became, I think, a brewery worker.
Damn, the paradox is alive. Boy, I tell you.
Milí přátelé, před chvílí jsem byl jednomyslně zvolen federálním shromážděním za prezidenta naší republiky. Děkuji vám všem, Čechům, Slovákům i příslušníkům jiných národností za vaši podporu.
President Havel still shares with his wife Olga the same flat in which he has always lived. It sits in the top floor of a building constructed by his grandfather. It is a spacious apartment crammed with books and modern art and the mementos of a life spent struggling against the system. Through the living room window, the Havels look out across the Vltava River to the castle beyond, the historical seat of the Czechoslovakian government.
No, to byla taková doba, kdy Delia odmítla Václava.
Well, there was a time when Delia, which is our theater agency, refused to represent Václav, and we found ourselves a bit in the air. We had no money. So Václav went to Trutnov, to the labor office, and they offered him a job in a printing plant. Some hard work. Well, Václav went to that printing plant, and when he talked with the man in personnel, the guy said, "But Mr. Havel, it's not possible to have you working in a printing plant." So he went back, and they sent him to the brewery. The brewery had terrible shortages of its labor force, which is also clear from the play Audience. So Václav started working there, and drove his Mercedes to work every morning. And that was quite fine.
No to jsi si nemyslel, no.
To jsem si nemyslel.
No, že budete kouřit cigárom ve sklepě sudy, co? No, jsou paradoxy, co?
I bet that never crossed your mind, huh?
What do you mean?
That you would be rolling in a brewery one day.
Well,
But then the paradox is alive, huh?
well.
Boy, I tell you.
And this character of the brewmaster, he's composed of several persons who worked in the brewery. For example, his direct superior was a real beer man through and through, who really sort of wanted to run his own brewery. When I used to go there, he would give us this marvelous young beer, still warm and fresh. And he constantly kept saying, even to me, "Don't let it get you down." And I would say, "I'm not down," just like Václav.
He started as an unskilled laborer, and then later on, when we started to know each other, we were on a first-name basis. I don't know whether I could call him Václav today, but I used to. He never talked much. He was terribly quiet, private. I don't know. I think partly because he didn't want to make trouble for anybody. Because we knew in any case that his every step was watched. His house was under permanent surveillance.
No, tak to bylo velice
Well,
nepříjemné.
that was very disagreeable for me, even more so since at that time we had 2 dogs, and the cops would give them their snacks, and our dogs would eat them. And I thought it was terribly humiliating that they were taking food from those cops. It made me terribly angry.
I know from other people that they did follow him, that they even built a shack from which they watched him. I went past it a couple of times, and when a car parked in front of the shack, or in front of Havel's house, and had its plates covered, we figured that they were watching him.
He never talked about that. He did not even talk about what he was doing and why he was doing it. It was only when the higher-ups began to get interested in him that we started asking, Mr. Havel, what is it that you really did before?
Co jste to vlastně stalo?
Divadelní hry.
Divadelní hry.
Ano.
A jsou paradoxy, co?
Pan Havel, to, že se rychle zaučil na filtraci.
Since Mr. Havel mastered the filtration process, which is an important element in brewing, he could no longer be fired. Nobody else could learn that as fast as Mr. Havel. And I believe that if not for his surgery, and for all this upheaval, he would still be working on the filtration process. And maybe we would not have a president.
Well, as a member of our nation, I'm naturally very glad about it. First, because I like him personally, and second, because I appreciate his human qualities. I don't think that we even deserve such a president.
I think he is even too gentle for a president. Perhaps it should be a tougher man. He's so very calm, such a good soul.
And it's a good news and it's a bad news. The good news is that Václav Havel is today the president of Czechoslovakia, a sovereign state. The bad news, he can't write plays anymore again.
I think that Havel never liked to be only seen as an author criticizing the regime or to be political playwright. He always has tried to have some classical structures and classical themes and archetypes in his plays. So I think that if now has become president, it will be also a big experiment with his games, with his plays, because it's evident that now it's different from it's written or it's seen from the different point of view. And I'm very curious, and I believe that his plays will show that they are really good classical plays and not only some criticism on a regime that now has faded away.
Já nejsem smutný. Jeho projev v civilu vůbec i teď vždycky byl
His attitude has always been like this, dignified, noble, full of understanding for all people, even bad people. It's why I like his good-natured attitude towards the brewmaster. He looks at him with a smile, and it's human, even moving. And it is deeply rooted in the best tradition of world literature that someone can see his enemy for life with compassion and understanding. Now we're at Hradeček, the summer home of the current president. And when he was still employed in the brewery, he went to work daily from here. When his employment in the brewery ended, he used to stay here until late fall. Just a little while before the house here was closed for winter, Madame Olga left. He would still take care of correspondence here. He wrote here and got the house ready for the winter. This is his study. This is where he writes. He writes mostly at night, and during the day, he takes care of the household chores.
Well, you know he is good at it, except that he cannot chop wood. I don't know if you've ever seen a left-handed person chopping wood. It's not a pretty sight. I won't ever let him take an axe in his hand.
He never stopped at least bugging the establishment for the basic freedoms for artists, because his conviction was that plays and novels and literature and films in any civilized society should be free. These artists should be free to express themselves. Well, this way he acquired another profession. He almost became a professional dissident. So that didn't like the communist government even more, so they put him in prison. So then he spent on and off over 5 years in prison.
There is always something sort of ripening in Václav's head. And then he sits and writes it. The idea is there, even if he has not been actually writing anything for a half a year. I guess it was an advantage of the prison, where he learned how to concentrate, with all this noise, with 15 people around him, sitting on some iron stools. He can really put it together in his head, and then sit down and write it in 2 hours.
Pan Havel zde byl od 19. ledna do 29. března. S ním nebyly žádné vzpomínky, ano. Byl to prostě člověk, ano, který byl ukázněný, ano. A ve své podstatě jsme s ním nikdo neměl nějaký problém. Prostě to je, jednali jsme s ním jako s každým, ano, ale nějaký problémy, vůbec nic. Zorně plnil své povinnosti a taky chtěl svoje práva. Ty jsme mu plně vyhověli jako každému jinému. Ta celá ta, jak je, tak byla. Tak jste uviděli.
You know, one of the biggest crimes of the communist regimes on these people is, especially the playwrights, that they, for 20 years, they couldn't see his plays with the audience. I am absolutely sure that if in last 20 years, which were the most, you know, from when you are 30 to when you are 50 years old, if Havel was able to see his plays on the stages all over the world, you know, we could be getting now from him work of enormous magnitude.
We used to read our plays to each other, and then Václav finished it. Václav says that in the brewery, that he was just there without any special reason. He does not want to admit it now, but I know that he really was in a bad shape because at that time he was at a summer house and they managed to isolate him so that people really stopped visiting him there. It was also quite far away. And even if he says now that it was no big deal, I remember that he was not in good shape at that time.
Ne, děkuji.
Kdo dnes kouří?
Čerkezy.
Vám přišel?
Ano, před chvílí.
Vojerlej.
Trochu.
No pijte, proč nepijete?
Děkuji. Nejsem na pivo moc zvyklý.
Vážně ne. My vás to tady naučíme. Tady si na pivo zvyknete. Tady pijeme pivo všichni. To už je taková tradice, víte?
Já vím.
A nebuďte smutný.
Já nejsem smutný.
A to bylo v letě...
It was in the summer of 1978, at a time when, for a number of years, 7 years at least, our best authors were completely banned from publishing. Some actors were banned too, and their work was brought to the public through samizdat. That's what we called typewritten copies.
My jsme tenkrát chtěli zkusit, jestli bychom se třeba...
So, at that time, we wanted to give it a try, to see if we could reach the audience or the readers in some other way. If perhaps there would be interest in tape recordings, which can also be easily copied.
And that was the house where the audience was recorded. The reason was that I, as a musician, had a Revox tape recorder, so Václav had asked me to help him with the recording. Please come in. That's all. The whole family was living here. The place was arranged in other way. Now I'm so lucky that I can work here. I've got a personal small studio here. There was a place where Václav was sitting with Landowski. Here was standing the director. As an acoustic balance, we have used the plenty, I don't know. Well, the blankets which were all around the space. And the best thing on all the event was that I was terribly shocked by the presence of two great dissidents, and especially because of Landowski, whose was so typical that I was afraid that the neighbors will call the police for us. I was afraid without having any reason, because they have told it the next evening, you know, all the situation but I was still pretending that I don't know anything about audience, even when friends of mine were telling me, I've got a very special recording, you must hear it, and I must pretend, what, I don't know. Isn't it Landowski who is playing it? So, that's all.
We were rehearsing with Václav, and his idea was, since this is a 50-minute play, it would take 50 minutes to record it. It was not quite so. And then when we finished, he said, I never thought it was so difficult to record a radio play.
It's true that it was just a voice recording, and so he could read it. And I think that for this particular Vaněk's role, he was quite good because he talked slightly hesitating and non-clear and quite like intellectual. But I think he's not a born player.
Working with him was very nice, because he always went right along with the idea, even though the situations always surprised him anew.
Oh, no, Mr. Havel is not an actor, and I don't like him as an actor because he often does like this.
Here, really, Havel proved his general, sort of fundamental capacity to always perceive all things in a completely new and unbiased way. A capacity to see through the eyes of others. Audience was quickly copied to tens and hundreds of tapes, and I would listen to it in the car, and now and then hitchhikers would recite the lines of dialogue. It was clear they knew it. Somehow it was the first work of Mr. Havel that the nation widely accepted.
Well, I think it's Václav's most performed play among the one-acts.
And do you think that people abroad can understand it?
Judging by the fact that it is being played around the world, I guess they do understand it.
Já si ti tady dávám úplně všan. No tak to vrazíš do nějaký svý hry a oni ti ji seberou a já jsem zničenej.
Spolehněte se, nechám si to pro sebe.
You must make a lot of dough with them plays, huh?
Well, it varied a lot.
Yeah, but you must clear over 5,000, huh?
Actually, it all depends on how many theaters produce them. Sometimes you make quite a bit of money, and other times you don't make any at all.
You mean like for a whole month, even?
Oh, sometimes for several months.
Then it's got its drawbacks too, huh? Like everything else?
Yes.
Them's the paradoxes of life. Boy, I tell you.
I think it's a universal play. I don't just think it's a Czech play. I think it can be done in any country, anywhere, and it'll have meaning in terms of somebody who's caught up in the system and how far it could go. And when I got to the point in the play, say, what's going to happen to me? I thought of all these guys out here in Czechoslovakia, because they don't know. They've got a dissident, intellectual, playwright, president. They don't know what's going to happen to them.
In May, when we began work on these plays, Havel was still in detention for this kind of activity, this same kind of activity. He was commemorating the death of Jan Palach in May.
Lighting the candle.
And they threw him in jail. And that was at the time at which we did the first reading of this play for the director's unit at the Actors Studio. And then as events proceeded through the summer, there's this steamroller effect that just sort of culminated finally in our being here, and no one is more shocked and surprised than we are. I think there's a Czech humor, a humor born of long-suffering pain and self-deprecating humor that I caught from the Czech production that I think we largely missed, that is essential to Havel's writing, and his sense of humor is that same sort of dry, self-deprecating kind of humor. I think I'd like to go for a little more of the quality that I see in him as a man.
Well, there's always been a great artistic tradition in Czechoslovakia, and there have been a number of writers and artists who've been very active in the leadership of the Czech government. My grandfather was an artist and worked very closely with Thomas Masaryk, and now we're seeing a repetition of that burst of freedom, the same as it was in 1918, and hopefully it'll have a better end than it did in 1938 in Munich.
Well, in the country, in a small country like Czechoslovakia, and I guess it could be applied to other small countries where people know each other so well, the only people who can't hide anything are the artists, are the novelists, are the playwrights, because they have to tell the truth, because people know what the truth is about the life in which they are living. And if a playwright or if a writer doesn't tell the truth, they know it immediately. So that's why those who dare to tell always the truth and be honest, always have incredible credit and incredible moral authority to talk to the people. And that's why the Czech nation suddenly reached, and 900,000 people at the Letná Square is yelling, Havel for president, Havel for president.
Just off Wenceslas Square is the small Chinnaherny Club Theater. The theater itself was the birthplace of the opposition movement Civic Forum. Havel himself stood on the stage as the fabric of the Velvet Revolution was sewn together. Just a week after Havel became president, a piece of theater and political history was made.
Protože to je hrozný nezvyk. Celý život v teple, stával si v kolik chci, teď najednou dole. Je fakt to. Vážně.
Víte, já nechci dělat nějak to, ale když někomu můžu pomoct, tak to už můžu.
Čo chci zvykat na všetku, že jo? To je hezký.
Tohle je hezky. Když mají ty šilhavý oči, takový ty filozofický, tak
ano.
Jo, a teď člověk má pocit, musíte mít dosti, že si rozumíte, že jste na sebe, že jsi na ně hodnej, že to je hodnej strýček, víš? Aby jsme měli k tobě sympatie.
Potom ale opatříš nějakou nápovědu na ty hlavní zkoušky, co bude na
Tak někdy před Vánoci mě zavolali z New Yorku.
Sometime before last Christmas, the producers called me from New York with a really crazy idea. The Actors Studio in New York had performed Havel's Audience, and they would love to bring it over to Prague, to our theater, and at the same time mount a comparable Czech version. The idea was nice, but the problem was that they called just before Christmas, and it would all be done by the first week of January. I knew the play. I saw it once in Switzerland, and I also knew the record with Landowski. So it was clear to me that it would be impossible to do it without him. Unfortunately, we knew that Mr. President, who did the recording with Landowski, would probably be too busy. So we picked Abraham.
Marking and doing it twice, you're going to get a dreary thing. Really.
The marking, he doesn't want any words. We just do the walk. We'll walk it, which he wanted to do yesterday, and we did.
You did more.
Yeah.
Which good, we wanted.
Yeah, we needed to.
Well, it's a choice of mine. If I do it 3 straight times.
I don't know if he needs performance. It's very problematic doing it 3 times today.
It's time for me to go.
What's the big hurry?
No, they'll be looking for me down in the cellar.
Oh, fuck them if they can't take a joke. They got Shakazy down there, don't they? Now you just sit here and you drink.
It's fantastic that the moment has come where an American group is now mixing with the Czech group. And there's something really rather remarkable about that and what the overtone of that can mean in terms of the work and in terms of what the work is aiming toward.
The play audience is beautifully structured, and my feeling turned, I think, correct, that these characters have to be absolutely real. And they have to grow emotionally within the framework of the absurdity.
On January 8th, 1990, and for the next 3 days, President Havel's play Audience was performed for the first time in public in Czechoslovakia. The first 2 performances were by Actors Studio members Kevin O'Connor and Lou Brockway. The next 2 performances were by expatriate dissident Pavel Landowski and one of Czechoslovakia's leading actors, Joseph Abraham. What you are about to see are excerpts from those performances, which we hope will provide a glimpse of this remarkable experience. The play is an hour-long dialogue between a brewmaster and a young playwright, forced to work at the brewery. This dark human comedy makes use of repetition and absurdity to sketch a portrait of 2 men struggling with their past, their present, and their principles.
Wonderful.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Come in. Come in. Come in, damn it, come in.
Mr. Fine. How are you? Come on. Have a seat. How about a beer?
Oh, no, thank you.
Oh, go on. Why not? You go ahead and you have one.
Thank you.
Well, so how's everything?
Fine. Thank you.
Like there was any choice, huh?
Right.
Ferdinand. Now, you don't mind me calling you that, do you?
Go ahead.
Ferdinand. What would you think if I put you in charge of the warehouse here? That wouldn't be too bad, huh? I mean, after all, you are a pencil pusher. You're no rip-off artist. You don't want to keep on rolling these ballbusters with those gypsies forever, do you? Now, the warehouse, oh, it's warm. And you'd have tons of time. So you just lock up around lunchtime, tell them you're straightening things up. Hey, you'd even have time to think of some jokes for those plays of yours. You could even take a nap if you wanted to. What do you say?
You think that would be possible?
Why wouldn't it be possible?
Well, naturally, I'm not in a position where I can pick and choose. I think if there were such a possibility, that would be just outstanding. I am pretty much organized. I can type. I can get by in a few foreign languages. No, it really can get pretty cold down there in the cellar. Especially if one isn't used to it.
That's just it. So, you understand what evidencing is?
Well, I'm sure I could learn. I have 4 semesters of economics behind me.
Oh, yeah? Well, then you understand what evidencing is.
I'm sure I could learn.
So, we can get together.
Yes, of course.
And you're all for it, huh?
Of course.
Look, if you don't want it, just tell me, huh? Maybe you got something against me. Maybe you don't want to form a team with me. Yeah, maybe you got some other plan.
I have nothing against you. On the contrary. On the contrary, you've done quite a lot for me. I feel very obliged to you, particularly if the job in the warehouse should work out.
So, we can drink to that?
Yes.
Bottoms up. And don't let it get you down.
I'm not down. Huh?
You're some kind of a intellectual, huh? You're into these politics. You're a writer. Who the hell would know what the fuck it is they want to know if not you?
Oh, now, wait a minute.
In the warehouse, you are going to have tons of time. What's wrong with chopping something down for me once a week, huh? No, you could do that, can't you? Look, I'm going to take care of you. You're going to be happier than a pig and shit down there. You can even take beer there. All that you want. And listen, this will be child's play for you because you're a writer. This Tom DeMaschi, he's an all right guy, but he really needs this. So we can't leave him hanging now, can we? Oh. Look, didn't we just say we were in this together, huh? That we were a team? Didn't we just toast to that? I mean, did we not just toast to that? Well, we did. So it's all up to you, Ferdinand. You take care of us, and everything will turn out great. See, you scratch my back. I scratch his. He mine. I yours. Nobody gets shortchanged in the deal. Now, let's not make life hell for each other. So why are you staring?
I'm not staring.
Look, you'd have direct control over what they know about you. And that's nothing to piss on either, is it?
I know.
And that warehouse would be pretty good for you, too, huh? I mean, it's warm, tons of time.
That would be excellent.
So what the hell's the issue here?
Boss, I really am very grateful to you for everything that you've done for me. I appreciate it because I understand how rare this attitude is these days. You really gave me a lift. Because I seriously don't know what I would have done without your help. That job in the warehouse would mean more to me than you can imagine. But I just... don't be angry with me now. I can't be
Snitching! Who said anything about snitching?
It doesn't matter where I'm concerned. It couldn't hurt me anymore, but it really is a matter of principle.
Principle?
I just cannot, as a matter of principle now, become a part of... Well, a part of what?
Come on, spit it out. You can't become a part of what?
A part of a way of doing things that I don't agree with.
It's so typical of all of you.
Who?
You, damn it! You intellectuals! You VIPs! All this is just smooth bullshit to you because you can afford it. Because nothing can happen to you. Because everybody's always interested in what you're doing. You can always fix that. Because you're going to be on top even when you're down and out. For a regular guy like me who just busts his ass and has got shit to show for it. And nobody sticks up for him. And everybody just fucks him. And everybody just blows him off. And everybody feels free to yell at him. And in the end, he's got no life at all. But the VIP said, that's because he's got no principles. A soft job in the warehouse. That you take from me. But to take one piece of the shit that I have to walk knee-deep in every day, that's it, I want it. No way. You're all so goddamn smart. You know just how to look out for yourself. You got everything figured out ahead of time. Principles. Principles. Damn right. You're gonna fight for those damn principles.
I like it very much, and it's actually the first performance I saw on the stage. Before that, I only listened the record of one version in Czech, and I think it was excellent. I recognized even the jokes, which were very well translated.
It is nice to see the play interpreted by an American actor, but the sensibility, they can't understand everything, I think.
For now, I am just amazed that Havel is played in Czechoslovakia at all.
I couldn't believe it still. It was the same like after 17th, the days or when the Václav Havel was elected as a president. I just can't believe it that these performances are on.
The director's important, the actors are important, the writer is the most important person, yeah? You bring it to life, and then the actors bring it to life.
But the spirit is coming from play.
Yeah. But how could they drink so much beer?
I found the play very sad, very revealing of a system that's quite monstrous in its capability to destroy freedom and individual rights. And I'm confident that if Mr. Havel is as good a president as he is a playwright, then Czechoslovakia is in great hands.
What you will see now is a kind of hyper-happening. And as I look around, I see mostly familiar faces. I believe that you have read the play, or perhaps you will read it tomorrow. In which case you will not mind that Landowski will deliver it in his own words. Very few authors insist that everything be delivered exactly the way they wrote it. On the other hand, very few actors are in the habit of saying anything that pops into their head. So, we are all curious.
Pomůžeš mně. Já pomůžu jemu. On pomůže. On pomůže mně. A já zase tobě. Nebudeme dělat život peko.
Ale nezlobte se, já přece nemůžu donášet sám na sebe.
Jaký donášení? Kdo tady mluví o donášení?
Mě by to neuškodilo, o mě nejde, ale rozumíte, jde o princip, no. Já se přece z principu nemůžu podílet na...
Na čem, no? Na čem se nemůžeš podílet? No.
Na praxi, s kterou nesouhlasím.
To je výborný. Teď se teda vybarvil. Teď se teda ukázal. Co já? Mě v tom necháš. Já můžu být svině. Já si v tom páně můžu patlat. Já jsem jenom obyčejnský pivovarský trouba. Já se pošpinit můžu, jen když pán zůstane čistý. Pánovi tomu jde o principy. To ostatní, na to už nemyslím. Principy. Principy mu milejší než člověk. Principy mu milejší než člověk. Principy mu milejší. To jste celý.
Kdo my?
Inteligenti. No samý hladký řečičky, rozumíš? Jenomže vy si to můžete dovolit. Nejste totiž nahoře, když jste dole. To obyčejný člověk, každý se nevysere. Každý s ním zamete. Žádný život nemá. Pak o něm ještě pánové řeknou, že nemá principy. Triplej flek ve skladu vysvole mě bral. No a říct taky kousek toho. Sevinstva v kriváce. Musím každý týden brodit. To už lidi nechce. Principy, 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 principy. Ale my jsme si je nechránili. Vy si je totiž výborně zhodnotíte. Vám se ty principy prostě totiž vyplatějí. Vy si je totiž výborně prodáte. Vy si totiž na těch principech vyděláte. Vás totiž ty principy živějí. A třeba za ně můžu dostat jedně rozrušky. Mě se nikdo nebojí. Já jsem tak dobrý, jako akorát, abych dělal hnůj, kterýho ty vaše principy podostou. Scháněl vytopený místnosti pro vaše hrdinství. Ty se pak vrátíš mezi ty svý herečky a budeš se vytahovat, že si koule s cigánama nespěpěš. Sudy, budeš hrdina, co já? Kam já se můžu vrátit? Kdo mý činy ocení, kdo? Já mám se života. Feriane!
I have discovered a great deal as I was reading this now. I had to read most of the time, as you've noticed. I never had time to learn this play.
It's not true you had no time to learn this play. You had 14 years. This is what we do in the castle every 10 minutes.
And how do you force yourselves?
There's so many reasons to laugh that we always exceed the 10 seconds allowed for laughter. Never mind, let's go.
You just saw audience. This is the first time you saw your play on stage in 21 years. What do you have to say?
I thought that the performance was very good, but perhaps I'm not the right person to make that judgment. When I was in prison for some years, I found myself very soon in a somewhat absurd situation. I had to write reports about myself for all those inmates who were supposed to spy on me. I had to have influence over what the authorities would know about me, to have a direct impact as the line reads in the play. I was misleading them, and at the same time I was helping those fellow inmates out of jail because they used to be paroled after serving half a term if they turned in comprehensive reports, yet they weren't able to write them themselves. The problem was where to write them. Prison is a thoroughly collective environment, and there is no way to do this, not even in the bathroom. What we usually did was that some of them would hide under the machine where I was working, and the machine rumbled, I worked, and dictated down under the machine. And as I was dictating those reports about myself, and helping those guys out of jail, and also confusing the chief warden, the play crossed my mind, and I would think, these are the paradoxes.